Hello and welcome. Today we are going to go ahead and take a look at the Venerator. Now this ship is inspired by the Venerator class Star Destroyer from the Star Wars universe. I did of course have to make a few allowances to the ship design for it to function in Starfield. Primarily, rather than being nearly a kilometer long, it fits on a ship landing pad. I know, sacrifices we must make. And additionally, I'm not too happy with the turret placements, but I was running out of other things that would make me happy with it, so I just said heck with it and moved on with my life. However, there are plenty of other weapon mounts available on this ship, so if you want a different loadout, go wild. So enough looking at this, let's go ahead and take a tour, and then we'll see how the ship is built. Now, coming in on the bottom side, the very first thing that we are going to note is we have this line of NG-20 landing gear right along the bottom here. Star Wars doesn't need landing gear, Starfield does, so this is my allowance for that. Next, you will note that I am making use of the ship flip glitch, so you will need that enabled to build this ship. Now, coming on over here to the back, we do have the Tayo landing bay, which is a rear entry one. It's not the most ideal position, but I think it made the most sense for this particular ship. So let's come on board, and you can see that we are immediately walking into the armory. Now, moving forward, we can also see that this is where our docking bay access is. So this hold here is the primary entrance and exit for this entire ship. We have a ladder going up 3 additional floors. It touches 4 floors. So let's go ahead and go up 1 level. We find ourselves immediately in a companionway. Opening this door, we find ourselves in the 2x3 cargo hold. I don't remember if this is Deimos or Stroud, but it's one of the two. And then forward of this, we have a 2x1 all-in-one. And then on this side, we have our infirmary. And then a 3x1 all-in-one. Now, yes, being entirely realistic, I would rather the door be placed on this side, so that way you would have kind of the living quarters and then the infirmary, but sometimes you have to work with what the game is willing to give you. Otherwise, place doors yourself. I am so looking forward to experimenting with that mod. I am tired of this game's base doors decisions. Luckily for me, it's coming soon. Alright, so directly above, 1 level up, we have the companionway, which is leading into our, looks like this is a Stroud 2x3 mess hall. Over here we have our cooking station. There's a little storeroom. There's a door coming forward here. Walking through that, we find ourselves in a Stroud 2x1 all-in-one, which I believe means that there's a Deimos one below this. And then, anyways. On this side, we have the Tayo Captain's Quarters, and after you wander through the Captain's Quarters, you can find yourselves in another 3x1 all-in-one. Again, speaking of decisions I'm not all that happy with. Alright, now let's go up 1 more level. And here we find ourselves in a control room. I think this one's going to be the Stroud one. Could be Tayo, though. Nah, Stroud. Alright, and then finally, 1 more ladder up to the bridge, which is our nice, lovely Kon-Tiki. And from here we can look out over the entire ship. Alright, 2 are done. Let's not hurt our ankles as we fall. Whee! Alright, and let's see how the ship is built. So, the Venerator is a Class C battlecruiser design for me. Just any sort of Star Destroyer has to be, the biggest type of ship you can make it, obviously. It's just how it works. You can see the stats over here. And then let's hop on in here and grab our colors. Now you'll note here that I went with a slightly blue saturated blackish color for my primary. Very similar color for my secondary. And then red for my tertiary. You can of course go with whatever you want. My daughter wanted pink and purple, which is why this was originally the Barbie knot. Then I had a change of heart. I know, you are all very sad not to see the Barbie knot. Alright, enough about this. Let's go ahead, select all, and delete. Alright, so we are going to start with the habitable portions, with the shipbed 200 landing bay. And then we are going to go ahead and grab that Deimos armory, and then a Deimos companionway, and then a Deimos companionway. Then coming forward of this, let's see, looks like we did use the Deimos cargo hull. And then over here we had the Deimos all-in-one. And then we had the Stroud 3x1. And then over here, I'm going to assume that it was a Deimos infirmary. Then, the next level up, we are going to go ahead and grab that Stroud mess hall. Then we're going to grab that next Stroud all-in-one. And then we're going to grab that Stroud all-in-one. I don't remember if this was an A or a B. And then over here we are going to go ahead and grab that Tayo 2x1 mid captain's quarters. Then right here at the top of the companionway, we're going to come all the way back on up here, and we're going to go ahead and grab the Deimos control station. Next, right under here, we are going to go ahead and grab that docker, a nice slim docker, and then we are going to grab that Kontiki bridge. And there you have it. That is all the habitable portions of this ship. So, what's next? Well, let's go ahead and start by finishing the bottom of this ship. Very first thing I need is going to be my landing gear, which is going to be the NG20 wides. I am placing 4 of these along the bottom. And then let's just go ahead and finish the bottom of our ship now. So first things first, at the front of this, I'm going to come on over to the structural tab, grab a Deimos belly. Then along the side, I'm going to go on over to my cargo, and you'll see that I went with the Gamma 1020 cargo holds. And I have 8 of these on this ship. Note that if you want higher performance, you could go with lower rated cargo holds, because this is where a good bit of the mass of your ship is coming from. Next up, behind that, I'm going to go ahead and grab my fuel tanks. And for this ship, I ended up using 2 H30 Atlas HE3 tanks. I will note here that it is entirely possible that you could, instead of using these 2, you could use, say, the H10s, which is going to save you. You're going to have less fuel, but it's also going to save you 23 mass each. So again, if you want more performance with slightly less range, that is an option for you. Alrighty then. Next, let's go ahead and hide our reactor and grav drive. So first things first, for our reactor, I am using the Pinch 8Z reactor on this ship, and that is going to be located right here behind the companionways. Then, right here, I'm going to go ahead and place my grav drive, and that is going to be the Aurora 13G grav drive. Now, note I went with the 13G, partly because I didn't need the extra jump from the RD3000, but also because it does have that back rear connector point. Alrighty. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and come on over to the structural tab, and I'm going to fill in the sides of the ship some. So I need to go ahead and grab my Nova Cowlings. Place those there. And then might as well come on up here, and I believe I have the Stroud braking engines. Might be Dynamos. Nope, Dynamos it is. Alrighty. Alright. Now, you may go, but why'd you bother doing that right then? Well, the reason is that right here, I need to go ahead and pull these off and do the forward facing. I'm going to flip this into place, and then I'm going to copy this on up, and then flip this into place. And the reason I'm doing all of this is because right here now, I'm going to go ahead and place a Stroud mid-bracer. Now, if you're not all that familiar, you might go, but why? Well, the reason is if I pull this off, Stroud mid-bracers do not have a bottom connection point. I don't know why. Don't ask. But that means that I couldn't just put the Stroud mid-bracer right there because there's no place that it could connect to. So that's why I went ahead and took all of this into account here. Now, why am I doing all of that? Well, I need these connection points back here for my engines. Now, for this ship, I am making use of 3 Supernova 2200s. Let me just pull the landing gear off really quick. And then I'm going to flip the landing gear back into place. Because this sticks just below, and this sticks just above right there, that it clips into itself some. It's mildly annoying. Alright. Now, the next question then comes, how exactly do we get the other engines in? Well, this is where we get to start having some fun. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come on over to the structural tab. I'm going to grab a Dymos bracer and place it on each side of the engine. This Dymos bracer is what these other engines are actually connected to. Then I'm going to come over here to a Dymos belly, and I'm going to flip that into place over that bracer. And you'll see that you can see the bracer, but it does kind of blend in some. And then up here, I'm going to be going ahead then and placing some Hope Tech caps. Just like so. And then let's come on over here and grab the Deimos cowlings on each side. And then looking over here, you can see we've got some bumpers, some spine pieces, and that's what it is. Nose cap C's here. No wonder that looked slightly off. There. Alrighty. So, then the next thing that we want to do here is we want to come on up and grab our Deimos Spine Bs, where we have two of them, and then a Deimos Spine A, and then you can see I tossed an equipment plate on right there, and then my Deimos bumpers, the front and the rear. And another thing that you could do if you wanted to, I did not do this on my build, is you could also go ahead and bring the bumpers down here. And flip that into place with the HE3 tank there. If you wanted to hide that HE3 tank a little bit better, you could hide it, say, under the Nova cowlings. But you can see that does kind of give you a more continuous line, lining up with the cargo holds. As you can see, I did not do that, but it is an option for you to consider, and you have the parts and the mass to do so if you so desire. Alrighty. So at this point, all I have left is my weapons. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, we have the Obliterator 250 Alpha turrets. Next, out here, we have the PBO 300 Auto Alpha turrets. And there are two placed on top and then two placed on bottom. And then finally, I wrapped all of this up with the Class B Exterminator 95s. Didn't use the 95s for any particular reason. I think they might actually do a little bit, well, they do around the same damage as the Obliterator 250 Auto Alpha Beams do. However, they do also fire faster, and I just wanted to, fire a little bit more. Oh yes, finally, my shield. Let's not forget that. So, under one of these Deimos cowlings, either the front one or the back one, does not matter which, I hid my shield. Sadly, I could not stick it on top of the bridge. Such a shame. Alright, and now you can see my only error is that I need to assign my weapons. And that is the ship. Let's go ahead and put those colors back on. And now let's take it out for a drive. All right. Now, I have heard tales that technically you only need to put one power into these alpha beams and they work perfectly fine. However, that's one of those things that I just was like, that doesn't really make sense. So I prefer to go ahead and apply more power to them, even if it's not actually useful. All right, let's go ahead and see if anybody shows up to the party. And a single target should never be a problem for a Class C battleship, or battlecruiser, or a Class C ship that's designed to go ahead and output damage. How about that? All right. Let's check out the hostile activity over here. Hey, you're right there. Let's make you go away. It's been a while since. Never mind. No docking with him. The one downside of turrets. All right. Let's see who else we can find to party with today. Ooh, a spacer. Oh, so much for them. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and see if we can have a party over here. Ooh, ecliptic. Alrighty. Well, that was fun. And on that note, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.